I've had a lot of people reaching out to me asking me which headset should I get and what do you think of the Quest 3 versus the Quest 3S and do I need to upgrade from the Meta Quest 2? And when I reviewed the Meta Quest 3S initially, here's what I said. The chipset is the same, it's much more affordable, get access to those new games if you're trying to pinch pennies. But in the end, it's a little more front heavy. It doesn't have the pancake lenses, and the resolution is the same as the Meta Quest 2. And hearing that, that might be reason enough to jump to the Meta Quest 3. Is the Quest 3 really worth that extra cash? Now that front facial weight I was talking about, that's negligible. If you have the right head strap, you can overcome that. And so what it really boils down to is resolution. Others might say that the Fresnel lenses versus the pancake lenses makes an enormous difference, and they wouldn't be wrong. Pancake lenses are better. There's less bleeding around the edges, you don't have the God rays, it is a better experience. But are Fresnel lenses bad? I don't think so. They're a little more heavy and they suffer from some of the stuff I was talking about. But for all of us who spent a couple of years at least inside of a Meta Quest 2, we recall it being a good experience. When we had gripes, it was about comfort. It was about audio solutions. Most of us at the time, me in particular, I had come from like the Gear VR. Plenty of other people had come from the DK1, and the Quest 2 was a huge jump up above that. So you could have a Quest 3 and look back on the Quest 2 now and have this feeling of like gratitude because it looks so much better. But the truth is the Quest 2 looks fine. And there's a huge subset of people who are going to ask themselves, is the extra $200 worth the difference between 2064 by 2208 versus 1832 by 1920? They both have 120 hertz, they both have 6 DoF, they both have the same controllers, they both have the same chipset, they can both play the exact same games. And while the Meta Quest 3 has an onboard depth sensor, which the Quest 3S does not, I was quick to be impressed by the fact that it's kind of frustrating almost as someone who spent the money on a Meta Quest 3. No one sent me that, I bought it. And to discover that after the fact, the people at Meta dug into the guts of the programming and managed to pull off something that resembles a depth sensor in programming alone. Like, I can't tell the difference. The Meta Quest 3S builds a Guardian around me, basing it on objects in my periphery and things that might obstruct a play space. It builds that just fine, as if it was a Meta Quest 3. And I kind of wonder if come the Quest 4, they're not going to abandon it completely because it's extra money that is more or less unnecessary. Like, it works that good. The Quest 3S starts at $299, the same price as the Quest 2 at launch, and it comes with 128 gigs of storage. You can upgrade to 256 gigs of storage for $399, whereas the Quest 3 is $499, $500, and is only available with 512 gigs. So right there, pricing the Quest 3S wins. Now, comfort, both of them out of the box come with that just fabric strap, and it's no good ever between the Quest 3S and the Quest 3. Both of them are terrible. And so in terms of which one sucks more, it's a tie. Now, if we're looking at screen and pixel density, then the Quest 3 wins because the Quest 3S has a pixel density of 773 pixels per inch, whereas the Quest 3 has 1218 pixels per inch. The Quest 3 also has a wider field of view at 110 by 96 degrees, horizontal and vertical, compared to the 96 by 90 for the Quest 3S. And they both share the same optional refresh rates. Now, if we're talking about power, they're the same. They have the same processor. They can play the exact same games. Cameras, external cameras, they're the exact same. When you're looking at pass-through, no longer like the Meta Quest 2 are you seeing this low-resolution black and white footage. It's the same between the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S. Where they begin to differ again is the battery power. With that, you might think that, well, the Quest 3S has suboptimal lenses, it has suboptimal resolution, and so the battery life must be suboptimal. But no.
No, it's bead. Why would you think? It's because it's like heat, not head.
The Quest 3S has a smaller battery than the Meta Quest 3, but the machine is asking less of it. The battery life in the Quest 3S is actually better. You get more longevity for it. On average, we found that the Quest 3S gets about 2.5 hours without an external battery pack, and in the same use case, the Quest 3 gets about 2.2 hours. Now, as far as storage, the Quest 3S gives you two options, as I mentioned, 128 and 256 gigs, whereas the Quest 3 offers a single option, which is double the max capacity of the highest option on the Meta Quest 3S. And with that, you have to ask yourself, what are you going to be playing? When you look at games, some of them are getting big. We're getting into PC VR territory. And so if you have a capacity of 128 gigabytes, if you want to jump between several different games, and you want storage for recorded footage, and you want to upload 3D movies for big screen, and you want to upload custom music for Beat Saber, well, now you're confined to this limitation, and it's something to keep in mind. But plenty of games are 2 gigs, 5 gigs, 12 gigs. And so depending on what you play, depending on what your use case is, you could fit 15 games. I have 15 games installed on the Meta Quest 3 right now, but that's because I'm focusing on Beat Saber, Synth Riders, Onward, Lies Beneath, games that are not too demanding. Now, the Quest 3S does not come with a headphone jack. I was initially very bummed by this because half my channel has been dedicated to just figuring out headphone solutions. What can I clip onto the headset so it's always there? Flip them up, flip them down. And I found some great solutions, one in particular. And immediately, I shut it down. What is a headset without a 3.5 jack? And I had not taken into account the viability and the proven viability of a USB-C to 3.5 jack and using a splitter so that you could charge your headset and output audio at the same time. I've tried it, that works fantastic, and so that is not an issue. It's a hiccup, it's a thing that you have to overcome, but it's resolvable. If you're trying to pinch pennies, if you're buying a headset for someone you know, and especially if they've never been in VR before, get the Meta Quest 3S. I guarantee it's going to blow their mind. I guarantee they're going to be happy with it. And while the Quest 3 has better resolution and better lenses, it should only be sought after if you're coming from a Quest 2 and you're desperate for increased resolution, or you're coming just in blind and you have the money to spend and you want the nicest thing you can have. When I received the Meta Quest 3S from Meta for review, I used it and I used it some more, and I installed probably 10 different games, comparing each of them against the Quest 3, and I routinely came back with this same opinion. The resolution is not as good, I miss the lenses, and I'll keep my Quest 3. And then I took that headset and I gave it to my dad. And here's what you need to know about my dad. He pioneered a program called Strata back in the 90s. Comment if you know what that is. It was used for movies like Spawn. It was used for games like Myst. He's been working with 3D architecture for ever. And he introduced me to VR back in like 2016, 17 with his Rift. And that was his headset forever until I gave him the Quest 3S. And wouldn't you know it, he loves that headset. He's in it constantly. But the guy who nearly pioneered caustics and 3D modeling in the very early 90s, and the guy who got me into VR, that's his headset that he's using. That's the headset he loves. That's not someone who just stumbled into VR. It's someone who's spent a long time in this kind of a field, and he's completely happy with it. It's a testament to how VR can pull on you and how the thing you're doing, the game you're playing, has more of an effect on your experience than the resolution itself or the lenses. It takes a lot to make a good experience. And I think that Meta was smart to do this. I've kind of changed my tune because of his experience, because of how happy he is with it. If you want the Quest 3 or the Quest 3S, I'm associated with Meta in so much as I'm part of a program where they send me things for review because of this channel. And I get games that I can review because of this channel. And because of that relationship, I have a discount if you guys want it. If you get a MetaQuest 3S or a Quest 3 with one of the links below, whether you use their 24-month special financing or you just buy it outright for Christmas, normally you would get $30 Quest cash, which you can put toward typically, 2 games? But between now and December 31st, you guys get $60 Quest cash. And so that's like either a giant extra game or a bunch of free games in addition to, what is it, Batman that comes with a headset when you get it now? I'm also going to list some games down below. Some that I adore and some that are the most popular. And if you use that link, you get 20% off. So you benefit, I benefit because you're supporting my channel. And that's about it. I'm glad you guys are here. Hit me up with any questions. You guys have been watching Bringhurst VR. Godspeed.